Hi guys, Nikki Fears here. I just wanted to take a second and shoot a quick video for everyone. Tomorrow is August 7th. It's voting day. I hope everyone plans to go out to the polls. But I felt like it's been really important, and I've been thinking about this for a few weeks and I'm just now getting to it. But I feel like it's really important to talk about one of the things that's on the ballot tomorrow. I am a Wright City resident, so one of the things that will be on our ballot, as well as the Warrenton area ballots, is the Proposition S, and in Warrenton it's Proposition Safety. Now, everything that I have to say today is very specific to Wright City. It's strictly because that's where I live and that's where I'm educated. So I'm only going to speak to that. Not saying that Warrenton doesn't deserve it, because I'm sure they absolutely do, and I can almost guarantee you that a lot of these issues are very parallel in Warrenton as they are in Wright City. But I just wanted to preface this with saying that the data I'm speaking to is specifically to Wright City. Okay, so there's a couple of things that I want to touch base on. One, so what is it for? Why are we asking for this money? So back in April, the fire department had two different issues on the ballot. One was a $7 million tax bond, and the other one was a tax levy increase for 34 cents. Both of those failed in the April election, and since then the fire department and the board of directors have scoured everything they can to figure out what they can do to ensure the functionality of the department going forward. And ultimately what they identified is, although they have heard the community doesn't want to pay more taxes, they don't feel like everything that was asked for in April was justified. They need your help. That's really what it boils down to. They need that 34 cents. There's ways around the tax bond. A lot of that stuff was for capital improvement stuff, but this 34 cents is so imperative to our department and our community safety. That's why I'm here today doing this video. I don't have any specific ties to the department. I'm a longtime resident of Wright City. We own Phobia's Haunted House, which is historically been in Wright City for the last 4 years. We are in the process of relocating to Truesdale, but it has nothing to do with the city of Wright City. It was just, it was a business decision based off of property that was available for sale. So, anyway, I will in full disclosure tell you that my husband is now a newly elected member of the board of directors for the Wright City Fire Protection District. However, his reasoning for being a part of the district is nothing more than us just supporting them. That's it. There's no other reason. And especially now that our business isn't even in Wright City, we won't really work that closely with them. So, but they are a wonderful group of people. Chief McKnight and Josh and all of the captains, and every single one of their personnel are such sweet, kind-hearted, passionate individuals, and they need you. So let's talk a little bit about Prop S. Okay, so the main reason for the prop is to retain the 6 firefighters that were hired through a grant that the fire department received in 2016. They were awarded a grant to hire 6 full-time individuals. This would help ensure that there was always 4 men on a truck. Before that, there were only 2. And so the problem with that is if there's a fire, structure fire call that comes in, and 2 guys go out on a truck, when they get there, somebody has to man the engine, the pumper, and somebody has to fight the fire. So they aren't able to go into the structure fire. NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association, I believe is what it's called, NFPA's standards, say that you should have 14 personnel members on a structure fire for a 2,000 square foot home. Obviously we don't have 14 people on a truck, but if we have 4 people on a truck, then 2 of those guys can actually go in and fight the fire. Otherwise, they have to stay outside and wait for somebody to respond. And if, God forbid, that they get onto a site and they're notified that there's a life safety issue, that there's someone trapped in the fire, and there's only 2 of them, that's a huge judgment call. You're basically trading a life for a life at that point. It's not safe. It's not in our best interest. And quite frankly, I commend anyone that would be willing to do that for someone. But we shouldn't be putting these guys in that position. It's not fair to them, and it's not fair to us. So this grant was good for 2 years. It expires in 2019. I don't know exactly when in 2019 it expires, what month, but I do know that it expires in 2019. The only way that they could reapply for this grant, the grant is specifically for new hires only. So what that means is they would have to fire the 6 individuals who have dedicated their lives to our community, reapply, because now they could technically qualify for the grant since they fired those individuals, and then maybe, possibly, probably not, but maybe they might be awarded that grant for a second time, at which point they could hire just for another 2 years. But it would have to be different individuals. That's not fair for these individuals, and it's not safe for our department. You know, it takes a lot of coordination to make a department work smoothly, and the more that you have established, the better. So that's kind of the background behind the personnel. The other issue is that their breathing apparatuses, the air tanks, they're called self-contained breathing apparatuses, otherwise known as SCBAs. They're under warranty for 10 years. After that point, there's no guarantee that they're going to continue to function as expected. So at the end of 10 years, it's very imperative for the fire department to replace these apparatuses to ensure that all of their firefighters are able to safely fight these fires. And so those apparatuses cost upwards of like $10,000. They're not cheap. And so some people have said, okay, well, how come we don't phase those out? Why do we have to replace a whole fleet of them at once? Well, the problem is that, you know, when you have firefighters that are getting jostled out of bed at 2 or 3 a.m. to go on a structure fire, the last thing they need to be thinking about is, okay, what version of this tank do I have on, and how is that going to work, and what do I need to do? Do I need to press this button or turn this valve or do this? It's just, it's not safe. They need to know exactly what they're putting on, exactly how it works. It needs to be muscle memory for them so they can go fight that fire and not be worried about how they're gonna breathe. The other issue, which is very important equipment-wise, is their radios. The radios are discontinued, and it's to a point now to where when they have a radio break, they have to go to eBay to try to find a part to replace whatever the broken part is on these radios. So the worst thing that could happen, well, maybe not the very worst thing, but one of the worst things that can happen when you're out on a scene is you have men inside a structure fire and they're trying to communicate and the radios don't work. Think about that. Nobody would know they're in trouble. So it's so important for them to get updated communication systems. It's so important for them to have updated air breathing tanks. And both of these things are things that we can't piecemeal together. The technology just doesn't talk to each other. So we need to make sure that as a community, we're ensuring that they can be successful so that we can be successful as community members. Another thing is a lot of people online or out in the community has mentioned that they feel like our fire department or fire departments are ambulance chasers. I don't particularly like the term, and I don't particularly like the thought process behind it, but everyone has their opinions and they're certainly entitled to them. So here's the deal with the ambulance chasing. They don't go on every call. They're not wasting their gas. They're not just bored and trying to find something to do. That's not it at all. The very real reality is our ambulance department services 2/3 of our county. And I don't have the information right in front of me, but that is I'm guessing a couple hundred square miles. It's a big area, guys. So they only have so many trucks and so much personnel. And if they're on a call and they have to transport someone to a hospital, which I don't know if you realize, but we don't have any hospitals in this county. So if they have to transport and they get another life-threatening call, then who's going to help that second person? And that's where the fire departments come into play. The reality is when you have a life-threatening emergency, and these are the only calls they go on are life-threatening emergencies, so heart attacks, strokes, things of that nature, every minute counts. So I don't know about you, but if I had an emergency, I don't care if you have a fireman outfit on or an ambulance outfit on. If you are trained to help me and you can save my life or a loved one of mine's lives or a customer of mine's life, please do. I don't care if I have 2 trucks. I don't care if I'm making a scene in the neighborhood. I don't care who sees it. I just need help. And that's what our emergency responders are for, is to help. It doesn't matter what badge you have on or what title you're wearing. As long as you are educated and trained to do the job that you're doing, that's all that's important to me. Please help. So no, they're not going on every ambulance call. They're just going on life-threatening calls. And I think it's very important that they should do that. Also, fun fact, so, you know, what do they do to save money? Did you know that if someone is involved in, say, an accident on I-70 and they don't live in Warren County, they're not a Warren County resident, so they don't pay taxes in Warren County, the fire department actually bills their insurance company for reimbursement for services outside of district. It's not a ton of money that they recover, but it's some money. The fire department does a really good job of trying to do all they can to think outside the box to make sure that they're recouping as much money as possible and not placing that burden on the community members, the taxpayers. So, you know, they apply for grants. They apply for millions of dollars in grants. And typically they're successful at about 20 to 25% of those, which is amazing. But they still need our help. So expenses, you know, they're constantly trying to find ways to cut expenses. No, they're not going to stop going on life safety calls because that doesn't make sense. Their job is to serve and protect. But those guys in that fire department, they're constantly, any little thing they can do, if it's turning off a light or not printing extra or whatever they can do, they do. They're very cognizant of the fact that the department is tight on money, and they've done all they can, and they've been very frugal for years to try to make sure, you know, that they're operating effectively. So the other thing is, there's been some talk in the community that the finances or the numbers that has been provided aren't true numbers. Well, here's the thing. The fire department is the political subdivision, and therefore it is audited by the state of Missouri every single year. So the data that's getting put out there, it's not fake data. It's not a fabricated fake book. It's from the finances that have been audited. Like, it's legit information. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're being so transparent, and I just cannot wrap my head around why some individuals just don't feel like that's the case. Okay, so let's talk about money. There are a ton of signs out there that say 82% increase. Vote no. Well, as a real estate agent by day, I know that there's a lot of people that have flocked to our county, and even people that have grown up in the county that hate taxes. Always have, always will. A lot of the people that have transplanted here are dear friends of mine, but part of the reason why they transplanted here is because they didn't want to pay high taxes. They wanted to get out of the O'Fallons and the Winsvilles that had the Taj Mahal fire departments, and you know, they're opening a new school every year because their enrollment numbers are insane. That's not what this is. So naturally, there's a lot of people that are against. You say tax increase, and they say no. Doesn't matter what the reason is. So the 82%, It's not really 82%, not the way that the signs make it sound. Yes, it's an 82% increase from the fire portion of your taxes. It is not an 82% increase of your tax bill. So if you pay, for easy math, if you pay $1,000 a year for your real estate taxes and personal property taxes combined, that does not mean that next year your taxes are going up to, what, $1,800? No, it's not happening. That's not how that works. So, I'll have to show you, probably not here, but this is my personal property tax receipt from 2017. And it shows that in 2017, this line item right there, I don't know if you can see that, but we paid 41.27 cents per assessed value. So what is your assessed value? What does that mean? The county has a appraised value for your property. You can go to the assessor's office, or you can go online and pull that information up, or you can contact me and I'd be happy to pull it up for you. And that will tell you what they feel the appraised value is of your home. From there, they establish an assessed valuation, which is about 20% or so. I don't know what the exact formula is for your assessed valuation, but when it comes to tax levies, they take your assessed valuation, which is your appraised value, and that 20%-ish number, and for every $100 of assessed value, that's what you're taxed on. So, for instance, in 2017 for Wright City, City of Wright City, we had a total levy of $6.8860, $6.89 basically. So, but only 41 cents of that actually went to the fire department. The rest of it's going to the school district, it's going to the ambulance, fire, state, county, library, city. There's no hospital tax because, again, we don't have hospitals. So there's several different things on here that it goes towards, but only 41 cents of that in 2017 was for your fire. So when they say 82%, what they're saying is if you take the 41 cents that you paid in 2017 and you add the 34 cents that they're asking for now, you now have 75 cents. Guys, they're asking, they're asking for 75 cents total on your assessed valuation. Is that really that big of a deal? So what did that cost me? Okay, so as you guys can see, this is my house. I'm in my office. I live in a two bath, 3-bed ranch home, City of Wright City. Nothing crazy, nothing special. And I paid, last year, I paid $124.14. Now, that is both real estate and my personal property. I own 2 vehicles, and at the time I owned a trailer, just a utility trailer. So it's a Dodge and a Ford, and the Ford's 10 years old and the Dodge is 5 years old. We don't live a lavish life. That's just the life we choose to live. But I say that to say that I'm a great example of the average Joe. In Wright City and Warren County, a house that's about $175,000, 2 cars and a trailer, that's pretty standard. So I think it's safe to say that the majority of people that are watching this video are probably pretty darn close to what we paid. So with this new tax increase, how much more am I gonna pay? Well, here it is, guys. It's $102.28. And that's assuming that I get 0 depreciation because my cars are now 11 years old and 6 years old. So $102. That's what we're talking about. Now, if you live in a $2 million home in Innsbruck, I can see how you might be a little upset about any kind of tax increase because it's so exponentially larger. I get that. And I respect that. But for the vast majority of our community, it's $102 or less, because there's a lot of smaller houses in this community. There's a lot of older houses in this community. So it's not what you think it is. These signs that say 82% tax increase, it's a marketing ploy. This is what I do. I'm a real estate agent. My job is to market homes. My job as a haunted house owner is to market to my customers, to get them to come, to think that my attraction is super scary, which I hope it is. And it seems to be. But my job is to market. And if my goal in marketing vote no is to get you to vote no, I'm going to tell a story that isn't exactly what it seems to be. It's statistics. You can bend statistics to be any way you want, but the reality is the reality. And right now, 82% equals $102. So that's that. All right, so another thing that somebody said is, well, you know, taxes go up and they never go down. That's just how it is. Okay, so that's not entirely true. There's something in the Missouri Constitution that's called the Hancock Amendment. And I believe it's Article 10, Section 16 to 24, maybe. And so the Hancock Amendment basically says that without accounting for new construction or improvements to your home, so if you finish your basement, that wouldn't count. If the district-wide valuation increases more than the consumer price index, so let's say the consumer price index says that home values rose 3% in 2017. Well, if home values in Warren County actually rose 6 or 7% versus the consumer price index of 3%, then they have to lower the tax levy. So, has this happened before? Yes, it has. So back in 2002, there was a fire tax increase. It was for 15 cents from the 30 cents that it was before. So it passed in 2002. This was the last tax increase, guys, 2002. And I realize we're talking 2000, so it wasn't really that long ago, right? Well, here's the reality. That was 16 years ago. Do you know that some of these firefighters that we're trying to fight for were 11 years old? 11. And here we are trying to fight for their careers. And we haven't had a tax increase since 2002? And before that, it was 1988? Come on, guys. Really? So, back in 2002, it was 45 cents. Well, guess what? My tax bill here says 0.4127. That's a 4-cent decrease. How is that possible? Well, it's possible because of the Hancock Amendment. So, yes, we are in a growing community. No, we are not Wentzville. Wentzville is the fastest growing city in the state of Missouri. Warren County is growing. Yes, it's true. Yes, there is a certain amount of tax dollars that these departments or these districts, excuse me, they're not departments, they're districts. If these districts, you know, will get from these extra dollars, but that's also that many more people they have to serve. That's that much more probability that they have to use their equipment and they have to service and they have to go on calls. So it's all relative. What was some of the other stuff? Oh, some people have brought up the fact that the Wright City Fire Department is actually in the process of buying a new engine. They do have a newer engine that is getting ready to be paid off. Now, they are taking that money that they've been paying on this truck and they are using it towards the new truck. Now, the new truck will also cost them an extra $20,000 a year on top of, I think it's a $76,000 a year payment that they were making. So why do they have a new engine? Why are they ordering a new truck? Well, first of all, don't quote me on this, but their oldest truck in their fleet, I believe, is from the 1980s. It's old. It doesn't function so great. It's not up to today's standards. And so they need to phase that out. And in order to do so, they're taking this opportunity to get a new truck. This truck has been in the works for a while. They do not have this truck yet, however, because they've done everything they possibly can to think outside the box and ensure that they're saving as much money as possible. So they've actually gone into a program with the fire truck contractor to parade this truck around as a display truck in exchange for some pretty deep discounts. An added bonus to that is there are some added features to this truck that they didn't have to pay for because the contractors that sell these features found out that they have a display truck and they wanted their stuff on there. So it was a great opportunity for them to be able to get new equipment, bring it into the district, and to do it at as low of a cost as possible with the most amount of equipment and technology. So I commend them for doing the awesomeness that is. That is them going above and beyond to try to think outside the box to make sure that they're being responsible about their decisions. Now, the new truck will go to Wright City in town, Station 1, and the next newest truck that they're getting ready to pay off will go to another station, and they will phase out the oldest truck from that point. So, guys, they're doing all they can. But the reality is, the houses that were built 30, 40 years ago used to have a response time to save a life. It used to be like 45 minutes. Now, with the way things are made, everything's plastic. Everything's made of these weird composites of materials and chemicals, and it burns faster. So we have to get there quicker. We have to be more efficient. And they can't be there faster, and they can't be as efficient if they don't have the staff to do it or the equipment to do it. So it's so important. Please, please, just take a second tomorrow morning, go vote. And I really hope that this helps you understand the importance of why you need to vote yes for Prop S, please. Like I said, we don't have firefighters in our house. I will tell you that there are a couple firefighters that work for us at Phobias, and they are some of the most kind-hearted, phenomenal individuals you would ever meet. And they would bend over backwards for you. They just need you right now. This is a plea for help. This is not, we want to build a Taj Mahal fire station and we want to jack your prices up and we just want all the taxpayer money that we could possibly get. That is not what this is. No. This is them saying, we are in a bind. We need your help. Please help us. We heard you. You didn't want to do the tax bond in April, but this is an absolute necessity. Guys, if we don't pass this bill, they're struggling. These guys are going to lose their jobs. We're going to have equipment that's faulty. It's irresponsible. To be completely honest, it's irresponsible of us to not give them what they need. We're talking $100 on average. It's the cost of your Netflix. It's maybe 2 less Starbucks coffees a month. But it could be your family member's life or your property that suffers, or God forbid, one of those firefighters. Please don't do that to them. Please think about this. Please do your research. If you want, the Wright City Fire Protection District's website has all kinds of information that you can look at. They've had several town meetings all summer. You're welcome to go to board meetings. Problem is, we vote tomorrow, so we don't have a lot of time. But go to the NFPA's website. Read about their statistics. Read about their standards. Read about the studies that they've done. Educate yourself, but do it the right way, please. So I hope you all have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.